BJ Mafia, was popping. A lot of the conversations that are surrounding the Jaguars going into the season are about Trevor Lawrence and this offense. After the Jaguars were 8-3 last season, they lost 5 out of their last 6 games. And look, there's going to be blame that's going to be passed around from Press Taylor, Trevor Lawrence, injuries, the wide receiver group not consistently being on the same page, the offensive line, the list goes on. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is talking about just how talented this Jaguars defense is with all of the pieces that they've added in this offseason via the draft and through free agency. And they brought in a brand new defensive coordinator in Ryan Nielsen, who comes over from the Atlanta Falcons. This is easily going to be one of the best defensive units in all of football next season, and you can bookmark this. They are going to be a top 10 defense in all of football next year. Now let's talk about it. Let's take a look at some of the Jaguars' free agent losses on the defensive side of the ball. You lost guys like Rayshon Jenkins, Dewan Smoot, Folaranzu Fatukasi, and Darius Williams, but you brought in via free agency Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Travis Gibson, and Eric Armstead. And then in the draft, the Jaguars added in a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Guys like Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, Jarrian Jones, DeAndre Prince, and Miles Cole. And then you also take a look at the Jaguars bringing back and retaining a majority of their starters on that side of the ball, and you got a lot of great ascending talent. Talk about Josh Allen, who just recorded 17.5 sacks and put together a career-high season in a contract year, got his well-earned bag, and Josh Allen is only going to continue to play at a high level and continue to get better. He should have been in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations last year after recording 17.5 sacks, which was a single season record. He moved up to number 2 all-time in the Jaguars all-time sacks leader, and he is absolutely going to be the Jaguars all-time sack leader when it's all said and done at the end of his career here in Jacksonville. Then you also talk about Travon Walker, who only had 3.5 sacks his rookie year. You could see that there was absolutely a learning curve for him, but you could see he had that sophomore surge and he really came into his own. We already knew he was a great run defender, a guy who already had the natural and physical abilities. Now it was about putting it together, getting all the nuances there, and you could see Travon Walker in his ascension in his sophomore season, recording 10 sacks. And Travon Walker and Josh Allen, this was the best pass rushing duo in all of football last season after they recorded 27.5 sacks together. Easily the most underrated and underappreciated pass rushing duo in all of football. Josh Allen is absolutely up there with some of the best. Guys like Max Crosby, Brian Burns, guys like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, the list goes on. And Travon Walker, we all know that guy clears Aiden Hutchinson. And then let's talk about some more ascending talent on this Jaguars defensive side of the ball. You've got guys like Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco, 2 guys in the secondary from the 2021 draft class that are going into contract years, and you know that they are absolutely going to have the best season of their careers in a contract year, and they're both upright and healthy. Tyson Campbell, we know when he's on the outside, he's a very good outside starting cornerback in the NFL, but injuries really derailed him last season, and you could really see that towards the end of the season. And Andre Sisco, he really had a breakout season last year, but expect him to continue to only get better, and I expect a big year 4 from both of those guys. And another guy who's going to be an ascending piece who's going to play a big role into this Jaguars defense going into the season is going to be Jaguars linebacker Devin Lloyd, who I expect to have a big time 2024 season because he's going to be playing a lot more at the line of scrimmage. You're going to be in a very aggressive defense. You're going to see a lot more opportunities for him to get after the quarterback in this Ryan Nielsen system, something that he did a lot of at the University of Utah when he was coming out in that 2022 NFL draft. We know the athleticism is there. We know that the skill set is there. Now, how is Devin Lloyd going to put it together going into year 3? I expect a big-time play from him. And I'll give you guys one more X factor. How about Jaguars secondary player and safety, nickel, whatever you want to call him, Antonio Johnson, who we snagged last year in the 5th round. He put together quietly a very solid and productive rookie season last year with the Jaguars, even though it was in limited action. Antonio Johnson has an opportunity to really play a big role for the Jaguars in the nickel at safety and really kind of be utilized all over the field in this Ryan Nielsen system. I could see him as an X factor going into this year. And then outside of ascending talent, you've still got other great pieces on this defense that are going to come in and contribute as long as they stay upright and healthy. Roy Robertson Harrison and Devon Hamilton. These guys did not produce last year. Obviously, Devon Hamilton was banged up for over a majority of the year, he did not look like himself. And Roy Robertson Harrison got his contract extension after last year's offseason, went into the year, and was a little bit disappointing, but the Jaguars did not have a great front seven. The pass rush was inconsistent at times outside of Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. So now you've got two guys in the front, guys like Devon Hamilton and Roy Robertson Harrison, who are really now going to have more of an opportunity to step up. And then you get the biggest free agent signing that the Jaguars had this year in Arik Armstead, who is going to significantly bolster this defensive line and really make it difficult, especially on down and distances. I would not want to be an opposing team's quarterback having to see Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, and Arik Armstead on the other side of the ball. That pass rush is going to be nasty, and that is going to be one of the best front sevens in all of football next season. And that's without even mentioning the other talent on the defensive side of the ball with guys like Foye Oluokun, who is one of the most underrated and underappreciated linebackers in the game of football. Terrell Edmonds, who maybe could make an impact, I guess, on this Jaguars defense if he makes the roster. And like I said, guys like Ronald Darby and Darnell Savage, these guys are savvy vets, and these guys know how to play their role. I expect them to be versatile and to come in and immediately make an impact. Same thing with guys like Jarian Jones, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson. You do a good job of adding more talent to the secondary. You do a great job of getting more guys to rotate inside and out on that front seven and to have fresh bodies to help alleviate some of that pressure off of your star pass rushers. This Jaguars defense, I'm telling you, is severely underrated, and I am loving the talent that is on that side of the ball. Not just the ascending talent, but the talent that's already in place and some of these veterans that can come in and make a huge contribution. And let me really just drill home the point with Arik Armstead, because I'm not giving him enough love and credit. Arik Armstead is 6'7", 290 pounds, and like I said, this guy's going to be an absolute force on the interior of that pass rush for the Jaguars when you have Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen still coming off the edges. But since 2022, Arik Armstead has 72 quarterback pressures and 7 sacks. And then take a look at this. This guy's not just a regular season merchant. This guy is a playoff riser, unlike some superstars in the NBA. James Harden. 2019 through 2023 in the postseason, Arik Armstead has 44 quarterback pressures, 8 sacks, and 30 quarterback hurries. This is going to be a guy who's not going to just come in and be a great veteran presence on and off the field. He's going to help bolster this defensive line, and I am so excited to see what Arik Armstead is going to do for this defense. And then outside of Arik Armstead, another free agent signing that I absolutely loved was a guy like Darnell Savage, a guy who's going to provide a lot of versatility and athleticism to that secondary, a guy who you can kind of line up all over the field. Listen to what Doug Peterson had to say about Darnell Savage when the Jaguars had signed him. He stated, his nickel coverage ability inside, his ability to blitz, he's a good tackler, he's a willing tackler, and he's a pretty good cover guy. All things that we're looking for at that position. He's got the versatility to play multiple spots on defense. He does give you that safety flex if you want to do it. He can play that nickel spot if you want to move him in there. And then, like I mentioned earlier with Antonio Johnson, Doug Peterson went on to say, we have a young kid, Antonio Johnson, that's going to be a nice little work in progress in there with these two guys. And I'm just excited to get him in and get him working when he can. To have guys in the secondary that are going to be versatile, could be used in a multitude of ways, especially in a defense that's going to call for that. Guys like Antonio Johnson, Darnell Savage, Ronald Darby, etc. That is going to do wonders for this Jaguars defense, and I am super excited to see what Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson, and what these young guys are going to be able to bring to this defense. And really, just to wrap this video up and to kind of summarize my entire thoughts with this, bringing in a proven defensive coordinator is not only going to do wonders for this Jaguars team, the talent is there, and it speaks volumes to the work that they've done to not only accumulate it over time, but to really grow and to have that continuity together. Imagine Trayvon Walker not only gets better, he puts together an even better year 3 than he did in his second season in the league. Both Andre Sisco and Tyson Campbell, these guys remain healthy, and they're going to put together their best season because they're in a contract year. And then you've also brought in those great talented veterans, guys like Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, and Arik Armstead, who are going to come in and make contributions. And I haven't even talked about the other talent on the team that's still unproven. Guys like Yasir Abdullah, guys like Ventrell Miller. Maybe these guys come in and they can be used in certain pass rushing situations and help be guys that can help contribute in that front seven. There is so much talent on this side of the ball. They're not being talked about enough. And this is going to be a top 10 unit in all of football next year. You can mark my words. And the last point I forgot to drive home is look at this. The AFC South opponent quarterbacks are still really unproven for the most part. Anthony Richardson, while I think the talent is there, he has to stay healthy for an entire season, and we got to see how he's going to produce. Will Levis didn't have the best rookie season, but you know what? The Titans are going to let him ride it out in year 2. They're going to figure out if he is the guy. And then, of course, CJ Stroud, the NFL's wonder boy. We're going to see how he has to do now going into year 2 with a lot of expectations and a lot of eyes on him. But let's be honest, CJ Stroud's sophomore slump is going to feed generations. But Jags fans, that is it for today's video. If you guys appreciate the work and the content that I make here on YouTube, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube, and make sure that you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Jags fans, go ahead and drop me a comment. Let me know who you think is going to be the biggest Jaguars X factor on the defensive side of the ball this year. If I had to take a wild guess, I'm going to say it's Trayvon Walker. Absolutely one of my favorite guys on the Jaguars defense. But Jags fans, thank you guys again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.